Good morning, guys. It's day 70. It's June 12th. It's 12:13 in the morning, 31.2 degrees, and I'm gonna wake up. All right, good morning again, guys. It is 2:02 in the morning, 29.6 degrees. Just a couple of minutes past our prescribed walk-off time, but still kind of putting the finishing touches on stuff. So just waiting for folks to get ready and get out. Slept pretty good last night. Luckily there wasn't much weather to report last night, so just kind of calm. Definitely still condensation, as you might expect, camping maybe 3 feet above the creek. But today I think we got just about 5 miles to get back to the PCT. Should be a nice little descent down Paiute Canyon along Paiute Creek, along which I camped. And once we rejoin the PCT, it'll be another short distance of descent before we start a climb of about 3,300 feet up another 5 miles to Selden Pass. So that's about 10 miles away all up. And then we'll see, just like every day, we'll see what the mountains let us do today. And hopefully we'll be able to tag something onto the back of that and kind of have some makeup today for a short day yesterday. But I mean, who in the world knows? It's really not up to me or my team. So anyways, I'm gonna get back to milling about, and I will check in with you later. All right, 1:45, 58.5 degrees. Made it to Selden Pass. Woo! This one actually feels like a bit of an accomplishment. I am totally gassed, but my team has like put me on their back and carried me up, so. Yeah, 10, 9, 8, 9 or something like that. Some 10, 8, 9, 8, I don't know, something like that is the elevation. And now we're kind of just scrounging for the very first place we can find to pitch our tents and bunk up. So anyways, Selden Pass. Alright guys, 39.8 degrees at 3:24. As you can probably tell, I've made it to home for the night. As you might also be able to tell, it is raining. So we got over that pass. Found a good spot to camp up, not far away from the pass at all. Maybe 2/10 of a mile. I don't really know. You can check the Gaia track in the link down below. Started digging out our spots and noticed some dark clouds coming in, and then heard like the most amazingly loud and pretty much terror-inspiring thunder, which set us all to work pretty busily, putting the finishing touches on getting our tents up at least, if not getting our bunks all squared away. Luckily made it mostly. This is a really atrocious pitch of this tent. I'll come back to that in my health update here in a minute. But yeah, man, what a day. So we did 15.7 miles. You might notice in that aforementioned Gaia track, my phone actually restarted like just about a mile before the pass, like 1.1 miles before the pass itself. I'm gonna put those on so I don't have to squint. My phone actually restarted about 1.1 miles before the pass, so unfortunately the Gaia track kind of has this little hole in it. As much as I would love to have teleported that 1.1 miles, it's not the way it worked. I actually hiked it. So the logged mileage on the Gaia track, which you'll see at the end of this video, is going to be 1.1 miles short. Just is what it is. But yeah, we did 15.7 miles all up, which is pretty darn good. By 1/10 of a mile, it's our longest day in the Sierra, with the previous record being held by our first full day in the Sierra after leaving Kennedy Meadows, which again didn't have much in the way of passes or snow or anything at all like that. We were certainly helped by the fact that we did have, to the best of my reckoning, just about 8 miles or so, for which we did not require crampons and didn't have much snow at all. So that was definitely kind of like, as I say, like my favorite trail town in any trail is Cruise City. So that was kind of Cruise City for us, which was nice. We were able to get up some good miles during that. And then frankly, by the time Selden Pass was in sight, definitely we weren't going to make our standard sort of 1 p.m. shut off, but I think everyone was just kind of like, dude, we can't camp like 1.5 miles from this pass. We still got a little bit of gas left in the tank. Let's just push and give ourselves a success. So that's what we did, and mercifully the storm held off at least until we got a good jump on our campsites anyways. But let's see, anything else? No, I don't really think so. Yeah, I have notes I'll put up like on the Facebook group and stuff like that about the specific mile markers and stuff for you know, where the snow disappeared and stuff, and then when it reappeared. But yeah, so I think that's going to be it for the daily video. And then again, it is day 70. So I mentioned, maybe I mentioned, I don't even recall if I mentioned that I got to do a health update. So yeah, so a lot of this stuff I kind of already went over. First day out of Bishop, leaving Bishop. I did get my finger looked at the ER. That was $300 copay, which I wasn't expecting and isn't great, but is what it is. Glad I got it looked at. Basically, the doctor there, unlike the Kaiser doctor who I saw a few weeks ago in Pinedale or whatever it was, that doctor said probably the best thing is just to drain it. So they numbed me up, they soaked it like in soap water, and then you know, and then drained it. I won't get into the details. I didn't want to look myself. But yeah, after that, they were sort of like, well, it usually isn't treated with antibiotics. I don't really think you need antibiotics. But I pretty much was like, you know, dude, I'm going back out into the wilderness, and I really don't want to go out without antibiotics. So I have now a full regimen again of doxycycline or whatever. That's the big news. Aside from that, let's see, some of the splits and stuff that I've mentioned that were appearing on my fingers on account of the cold and the wet. Those pretty much healed up while I was in Bishop, but I don't think it'll last too long. I think in all likelihood they'll reappear at some point on this jump, likely sooner rather than later. And that's unpleasant, but is what it is. It's not show-stopping, hopefully. I also had mentioned some blisters on my feet on account of wearing new shoes through this jump, through the previous jump, I guess, through the Sierra. I'm wearing the Salomon Quest 4s. The blisters, you know, I took care of them on the last jump, and so far I haven't wrapped them up or covered them or anything else like that. So far the feet are holding up all right. But we'll see. I mean, if tomorrow they start to bark or whatever, then I'll wrap them up tomorrow, and that's just fine too. Let's see, stomach, fine, head, fine, feet, ankles, all that, fine. I'll notice something that really started bothering me, if I'm being perfectly honest, just a little bit on the CDT last year. And is kind of like re-emerging just a little bit, is like some borderline pain, at least discomfort in sort of like my left hip. And there's really, it's not show-stopping, it's not driving me crazy, but something I'll mention just for the record. That's really all I got for body stuff. And as far as gear, I'll mention the new gaiters are working out great. The Outdoor Research gaiters, I don't even know the model name, I'm sorry. Again, they're not waterproof. But just in the past 2 days of using them, I've definitely noticed that 2 or 3 days, I don't even know, 2.5 days. I think perhaps part of the problem with my Rab gaiters, the ones which got shredded pretty much instantly, was that they were too big, they were too floppy. So it was just way too easy for me to snag my crampons on the material of the gaiter and then shred them. So if I had to do it all over again, I mean, other than the fact that I shredded those in less than 2 weeks and just cut them all to ribbons, I really liked those gaiters, which is a weird thing for me to say considering that they didn't last 2 weeks. But if I had to do all over again, I would probably get a smaller size of the Rabs, something to just fit around my leg more snugly. You know, you live, you learn. It was my first experience with that style of gaiter, so all good. And then, of course, the final thing that I sort of teased earlier that I'll mention about gear is this tent, man. You know, I've been giving it a good shake. It's been like, you know, a month and a half that I've pitched it or whatever, all cumulative and stuff. And I don't know if I really like it. I don't mind being in it. I don't mind when it's pitched perfectly, but like all through this jump in the Sierra, man, like I got to dig out a humongous amount of space in the snow for this to pitch. And again, sort of my standard, I might have mentioned this in an earlier video, but sort of my standard measuring reference point is that I got to dig out a spot that's big enough for 2 of my Z-Pax duplexes. And when you're digging snow at the end of a 13-hour day, I can assure you, you don't want to dig any more snow than you need to. So having to literally dig out twice as much snow as my other tent would require is frustrating. Very, very, very frustrating. Aside from that, something which I hadn't experienced up until this afternoon is just that, boy, the tent, I mean, I knew it was persnickety and really, like, needed a lot of attention to get a perfect pitch, but, like, dude, when there's a thunderstorm bearing down on you at 10,500 feet or wherever in the world we're at, I really don't want to mess with, like, a tent and its persnicketiness. I want to be able to snap my fingers, get the tent up. I want to be able to have a shelter, and this tent is just, I mean, aside from the fact that you got to dig a place twice as big as my other tent, even once I get that spot dug out, it is incredibly persnickety, and it's frustrating as all heck when there's a thunderstorm and thunder just crashing down on you. So, I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to reserve judgment about this tent. Again, it's not a bad product, but in as far as through hiking and adverse conditions, snow, inclement weather, elevation, man, if you have a perfect day and a perfect afternoon and a perfect manicured tent site, probably this is a great tent. If you don't have any one of those, chances are it's going to frustrate you. Unless you're just way smarter than me and I just can't figure out the geometry. But well, anyways, that's plenty long enough for an end of day wrap. Plenty long enough for a weekly health update. I still have, since this rain and sleet and whatever else in the world's going on outside is going on, I'm gonna have to melt out some snow, which isn't great, so that I can eat dinner and then go to sleep. Wake up at midnight and do it all over again, so... Welcome to Sierra 23. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.